This lesson is Defining HTML5. In this lesson, you'll learn which features are part of the HTML5 specification and which features are related web technologies. You'll also discover what benefits HTML5 provides to designers and developers as well as users. To begin with, we need to define the term HTML5 and separate the marketing terminology being used from the technical specification. Now, the World Wide Web Consortium is the organization that guided the creation of past versions of HTML and XHTML. The term HTML5 is currently being used to define a range of web technologies that include more than just the markup language you might currently associate with HTML. So in the marketplace, what's commonly referred to as HTML5 is often a combination of HTML5 markup or features, CSS3 style, and JavaScript interactivity or animation. So in order to make that distinction, we refer to the HTML5 family. This includes the HTML5 core, which is structural and semantic markup. You'll be taking a look at this shortly, but in addition to that, we also have other web technologies: CSS3, geolocation, canvas, web storage, drag and drop, and there are additional features as well that we don't include in this slide. So what are one of the benefits of HTML5? Well, HTML5 addresses current limitations in the browser, such as lack of multimedia without browser plugins, data storage, lack of a native graphical format. In other words, HTML5 addresses the modern web, particularly web applications. So let's take a look at the HTML5 core. This is the new structural and semantic markup, and it's designed to reduce reliance on div tags and introduce logical, consistent, and readable page elements for the browser. To make this a little more clear, let's take a look at the following. We have new tags in HTML5. These are structural elements such as header, footer, nav, section, and more. These elements reflect common usage on the web. Traditionally, if you were building this page with a CSS layout, you would use divs that have a class or an ID name. In HTML5, we have new tags that we can use. For example, header. Now, one of the interesting things about header is that we don't need to use just one of them. We might also have another header for a sidebar. Another new tag would be the aside. So the aside would be what we usually call a sidebar. However, you could also use asides in other cases as well. We have other elements such as nav, footer, section, and article. There are many other semantic tags as well. So for example, hgroup, figure, and figure caption. All of these are used in different ways to mark up the pages in a semantic way. In other words, we use the tag that's appropriate for the content within. Another new feature of HTML5 are web forms. If you've used web forms in the past, you know of input types. The classic input type is called text. With HTML5, we have more specific input types such as email, search, URL, and more. HTML5 web forms are a huge part of HTML5, and we discuss these, of course, within that lesson. Other new features include multimedia and a drawing API. For multimedia, we can look at the audio and video tags. These allow us to add audio and video within the browser, no browser plugins needed. We've also got the canvas tag. Now, technically speaking, Canvas is an API. It's a web technology associated with HTML5, and it allows you to create visual images such as charts, graphics, and more on the fly in the browser. Other related technologies in the HTML5 family include CSS3, web storage, geolocation, drag and drop, and web workers and sockets. Again, each of these technologies is fairly powerful in its own right. When you connect them with the HTML5 markup or the syntax that we looked at earlier, then you get a new breed of web design. CSS3 is a huge part of that. HTML5 and CSS3 work hand in hand. And again, many of the HTML5 experiences you might be seeing on the web actually include CSS3 features. These would include things such as animation, transformations, styling, such as backgrounds, borders, gradients, multi-column layouts, media queries, and web fonts. Web storage is another web technology that you can take advantage of. If you know the concept of browser cookies, which store data on a browser, web storage does something similar, although with a little bit more robustness. You might be familiar with the concept of geolocation with your smartphone. which essentially allows you to connect your geographic location with the internet. In this case, geolocation comes to the browser. With geolocation, your web browser's geographic location can be pinpointed, and then relevant data can be sent to your browser. The last little piece here are two websites that we make use of throughout the book and throughout these lessons. CanIUse.com is a website used to determine browser support for the various HTML5 features. It's a very useful resource when it comes to deciding whether or not to use a specific HTML5 tag or feature. Of course, browser support is a huge issue. Modernizer.com is a website that allows you to create websites in HTML5 that become more backwards compatible with older browsers. Again, we make use of this throughout our lessons, and this is also a very important resource. That's it for now. In this lesson, you learned what features are part of the HTML5 specification and which features are related web technologies.